Hello, welcome to another episode of my weekly blog. This week we're going to be covering a Save the Dive box. It's only a concept that I came across perhaps 18 months ago. What I used to do is carry a few spurs and stuff with me, but they were located here, there, everywhere, and then when I wanted them they weren't where I thought they were, so I forgot them or whatever. So I never thought about putting together an actual box that I could take anywhere, and it's really sort of not very big and have everything I could possibly think that I need with me should it be in a remote location like a boat, or maybe out the way somewhere up in the Lake District or in the middle of Wales or whatever. Should somebody be missing something, or if I forgot something or something's broke, I can get amongst it and largely put most things to bed and resolve a few issues so we can all go for diving. You know, everyone, that's what we're there for, isn't it? To go for a dive. So if we can save that dive, that's what this box is for. So it's waterproof, so it's what in there is not getting damaged. There's still quite a bit of room, so I can fit some more stuff in. But largely speaking, thinking about everything that could go wrong that I could fix on a dive site that wouldn't be detrimental once I get in the water, I've got everything within this box to fix that. So I'll tip it all out and go through it bit by bit. So if you imagine we're putting your kit together, mine being a wing and harness, it's bolted together with a couple of these little sort of wing nuts and a couple of washers. So if I found in transit some of these had come off, I can replace them. They're stainless steel, so they won't rust, and they're the exact fitting for mine and my wife's wing and harness. So should that be a problem, that's already solved. So you've got your wing, your harness, and then you bolt that to your cylinder. Now some people have the DIN fitting and others have an A-clamp or a yoke fitting. So if one of your mates turns up and goes, "Oh, has anyone got an DIN adapters?" I've got one. It's got two fresh O-rings on there, so it'll work straight away, so that'll resolve that problem for him. How are we going to fasten that in? Well, we need some Allen keys. So there's a set there, they cost about £1 from Tesco. They're not going to be the best ones on planet Earth, they'll probably rust up really quickly if they get damp, but there's pretty much every size that I'd need. Maybe one or two that I will never need, but if I need to fasten that DIN adapter on, certainly one of them will fit that. Moving up then, you've got your first stage regulator. Now sometimes they have these little plugs in them, this one being for the high pressure hose and this one being for the low pressure. Looking at the top, I've got these little thread protectors on just so they can sit in that box and they're not going to get damaged. You've got brand new O-rings on that are good to go and they're clean and tidy, so should you need to replace any of them, it's quickly, rather than faffing around with the O-ring, just take one out, put a new one in, done. So that's both of them, and the Allen key takes care of that. Now if you've got any hoses that have got any problems, we're going to need a spanner. So rather than having a set of 7 spanners in there that don't really fit, I've just got a small adjustable 6-inch spanner, fits in the box nice and neatly, and you'll get enough leverage on that to certainly take a hose off, change an O-ring. No good changing O-ring if you don't have any O-rings, so I've got a selection of O-rings that fit all those parts of either the hoses or the point where the first stage bolts in to the actual cylinder, pillar valve. I've got a replacement O-ring in there as well that's for my torch. Now I check my torch all the time because it is so expensive that if it breaks I don't really want to have to replace it. So just in case whilst I'm checking it I find the O-ring's knackered, I've then got an O-ring in there for that. Now one thing that a lot of people won't even know exists is something that's called a swivel. I don't know if you can see that on there, put it right up. So that's the bit that joins your submersible pressure gauge to the hose that sits in between there, and they go all the time. There's two extremely tiny little O-rings on there, you can see them. So they're not noticeable when they go, as in the O-rings don't look any different, but what it does do is you have a little stream of bubbles coming up, like much like what you'd see in a champagne glass. It's not going to be too detrimental to your dive, but as we're taught from day one, why enter that incident pit? If you can resolve it on the surface now, get it resolved, done, dusted. You know, better to sit out, have a cup of tea or an extra half an hour on the surface than get in the water and have a really bad dive to the point that you're injured, or worse, you don't come up from the dive. So thinking further afield from that bit of kit then, going down the hoses, we've got our second stages. Now I've known people chew through mouthpieces, or mouthpieces quite quickly get ripped off, so should you be missing one or you've got one damaged, or if there's a tear anywhere around this area, water can get in as you sort of suck in the breath out of the second stage. So brand new one of them, usable, and probably just wants a bit of a clean under some fresh water, but it's good to go then. How's that attached to your second stage? Well, we need some zip ties. Now what I can't have is the correct size zip tie for everything, so I've put some small enough ones in that are strong enough, put a couple of them in, we can group them together and pretty much fix most things that need to be tied down, whether that be a bolt snap onto one of your hoses or your mouthpiece onto your second stage, but that'll do all those jobs. So I've got 3 of them there. Obviously I don't need to carry every single thing that could possibly go wrong, because if I did, the things that were going wrong I perhaps need to revisit my maintenance and servicing techniques in my own garage before I get to the dive site. So we've gone through our breathing apparatus and buoyancy control. We're now going to be thinking, well, we've got a dry suit on or a wetsuit, and both of which, if they let water in, you will get cold. So I've got a small patch of neoprene, smooth on one side, and then the sort of cotton feel material on the other side. Not too big, because again, if we had quite a big hole in our dry suit, would we go diving? No, we wouldn't. But if we had a small puncture where perhaps you just pierced it with the tip of a knife, for instance, or you'd caught it on a previous dive on a wreck or something, you just had a small sort of nick in it, this at being sort of 2 or 3 inches across would be certainly big enough to stick over a small hole, leave it during your surface interval. That would then dry perhaps, or leave it overnight, and you know, that would be good to go for the morning. So you need that. And I've got this Aqua here, which is great. It's probably the most expensive stuff that's on the market, but certainly for me the best stuff. So that will stick that down or fill any sort of cracks in any of the seals of your wetsuit or your dry suit. So that goes in straight away. So thinking about the kit and stuff that we're going to carry, we carry torches, don't we? We use them for all sorts of things, signalling, pointing direction, identifying certain features on a wreck or on a coral reef perhaps, or even if it's dark and at night is a bit of a comfort blanket so you can see what you're looking at. So I carry plenty of different size batteries. These are just a small example of what I've got in there, so they all fit within that box. Some cheap and cheerful ones from Amazon, you can buy them in bulk for about a tenner, might as well do that. Now my torches clip onto D-rings on my harness system, and within that we have these what's called Snoopy loops. Now basically they are just strips of old bicycle inner tube cut up, and people sell them for like £1. Well, just go and buy an inner tube for £3, cut it up and you'll have 60 of these. So if you want to sell them online, you'll get 60 quid for a £3 inner tube. But they thread onto your harness, and then your torch threads in there, and you can put as many or as few of them on there as you want to sort of nicely secure it. So if they go, I've put 3 of them in there because they're only bits of rubber, and obviously they're not built to be stretched on and off, on and off, on and off. So if they do tear, you've got a couple of spares. So from there, moving down our legs, then we've got fins. Sometimes the way the fin straps connect can come loose. Maybe straps can pull free and become the actual plastic clips can snap. So I've got these sort of little D shackles. Yeah, you can just pinch these on over some of the clips that we have nowadays, thread your strap through there, and that'll save your fin. I'd suggest, if you've got a different kind of fin than what I have, because these are suitable for my fins and easily changeable, if you've got a different kind, maybe get a couple of spurs. These are perfect because they're nice and slim, they don't weigh very much or take up much room, so they fit in there. That's job done. But that'll just fix one fin, but the chances of both fins breaking at the same time, I'd suggest, is pretty slim. Now we carry cutting tools and knives and such with us, just in case we come across any nets or lines or whatever, or if we get entangled. So you may remember from earlier videos of mine that I've got 2 cutting tools here that are like a line cutter, and with them come these sort of razor blades, loads of spurs. They're very light, there's a good 6 in there, maybe half a dozen. But as much as they're good for replacing those, which I've never done yet because I don't use them for anything, fortunately, these are good for just trimming down bits of thread, or perhaps cutting your zip ties. Just be very careful because these are obviously like razor blades, so they're razor sharp. They'll probably take half your finger off or cut your dry suit and stuff. So just be careful and cautious while you're using them. So they live in that sort of nice secure box. Not going to do anyone or anything any damage. Added to that, I was in a shop abroad a few years ago and I saw this sort of cigarette lighter. I think this is better because if you look at the flame, you can see that it's quite direct. So if I needed to melt, say, a bit of some nylon thread down to stop the knot coming undone or fraying any more than it is, or to smoothen off a bit of plastic from a zip tie, you know, so it didn't give that sharp edge, these are ideal because you can get that flame directed right into where you want and it's not sort of billowing anywhere else and likely to burn anything else. It is rechargeable on the bottom, so you can go and get one of those lighter gas refills. I've had this now 3 years, use it quite regularly, but I don't smoke, so I'm not using it for that, and it's lasted quite some time. Nice and small, rechargeable, perfect. The zip on the back of our dry suits, the most common and I think the better one is the brass zip, and quite often when you're diving in sort of salty sea conditions, you know, that zip can become quite stiff, so a bit of some beeswax, give it a rub down regularly, you know, that can make you dive easier, as in your buddy's job of putting you in your dry suit. We were lead. Mine's all integrated, as you may have seen on previous videos, but if it's not and you've got a weight belt and your weights are moving up and down, or you've broke one of these clips, these are ideal to stop that shift, keeps your buoyancy and trim nice and level. It saves that drama of your lead moving around, so one of them's ideal. I carry a camera, whether it be the GoPro I'm using for this video or my underwater proper sort of compact camera, and when they've been out they gather a little bit of moisture, put them into a container or a housing to take them underwater, and whether it's sat in the sun or it's under pressure, that water becomes condensation and can either mist up your lenses or perhaps the viewing portion of the camera at the back, or will be detrimental. So one of these silica gels, this is just out of a pair of box that a pair of shoes came in, keep that in that box, not only because the box is waterproof, it'll keep moisture from sort of gathering in that box, but I could put it in my camera should I forget it. On the note of camera, carry a GoPro, and every now and again one of these will get broken or become too rusty to use, so I can swap it out, so I've got a spare. And by means of holding it and carrying it, you know, a little lanyard's always helpful, you know, so if for whatever reason it was to break, you can put a spare lanyard in, you know, thread that in onto one of the bolts or whatever, just allows you a means of carrying it where it's more secure to you. So found that lying around a while ago, so I've kept that in my box ever since. And then when we plan our dives, we generally would use a dive slate, whether you wear that on your wrist or it's kept on with your surface cover. Everyone needs a rubber. The only thing this box I can think of is missing is a pencil sharpener, and I've not got one lying around to put in it. But if that went in along with a graphite pencil, I think that's pretty much complete as a save the dive box for me. It's not an endless list, and I can probably add more kit to it if I got more idea of what I'd be missing, or what, you know, I could have a spare memory card in there perhaps, you know, just a small one, should the one that in my GoPro's full and I don't want to empty it, or if I forget to put it in, spare memory card in there will make that dive worthwhile if I was coming to take some videos or to take some pictures. That's a proper good idea actually. I'm going to actually do that in a minute. I'll put that in. I can't really think of too much more. Screen wipes are always good for certain things, you know, if you can get them in the little packets, keep one of them in. It's always good to wipe stuff down with. So that's this episode done now then. We've just covered the simple basic field repair kit that you as an unqualified service technician can repair your kit at the side of the water before you get in should you encounter a problem. It's not by any means there to service the whole set of any kind of regulators or anything else. It's purely if you have a bit of a problem before you get in the water, you can sort your kit out and get in and carry on that dive. Only stuff that you've done to your own kit yourself, whether it be tying on a little bolt snap onto your torch or whatever, you can fix all that and make it good to go. If you've got any more ideas of stuff I could put in this box that I've not thought of, I'm all ears. Put it in the comment section at the bottom. If you've liked the idea of this and you're going to take it on board, give us a like at the bottom and a thumbs up, that'd be great. It gives me a bit of an incentive to keep doing these videos, that people like them and people are getting some sort of interest and encouragement to be more self-sufficient whilst diving and on a dive site. And from there, obviously, at the end of the videos, they always have the subscribe button over there, and then they have we put a couple of videos on. So this one being when we go to the farms a few months ago, and the top one being last week's video. Thanks for watching. I'll see you on Insta.